All right. Hello. This is Kathy Basil, one of the 4 Mystic Mavens, and we are here for another delightful conversation about all things mystical. How can you bring some of the mystical things, tools that you can bring into your everyday? Today's conversation is going to be hosted by Joanna White, and we are going to be talking about how to bring you vibrantly alive, and her topic, what turns you on. So I'm not sure what we're going to be talking about there, but just as a quick hello, I'm Kathy Basil. I am a transformational life coach working with women to help them step into their next soulful chapter at the age of 50, 60, and 70s and beyond. So that's me in a nutshell. Miss Carol, would you like to introduce yourself next?
Sure. Thanks, Kathy. So I'm a transformational spiritual counselor and transpersonal astrologer. And I work with high functioning and high anxiety young adults from the age of approximately 29 to 34, 35. And they're often very well accomplished, and they're experiencing anxiety. They're experiencing sometimes loss and grief. And so I work with those people to help them move through so that they can be more joyful and present to the life that they're living right here, right now.
Yeah. And there's lots of high anxiety people.
Yeah. Claudia, take it away.
Thank you, Carol. Hello, everyone. I'm Claudia Rocafort. I am a communications consultant and ICF certified personal and business coach, as well as a spiritual facilitator. And I love to support people in aligning their mission, their vision, and their purpose so that they can live a purposeful life and a fulfilled life. So I'm here to support in every way I can. And having said that, take it away, Joanna. Tell us, what turns you on?
Hello, everyone. It's great to be here tonight. I'm excited about our topic tonight, what turns you on. So I'm Joanna, the midlife resuscitator, and I am revitalizing healthcare. I'm taking back the power to heal self. It's an inside job. So we're going to talk about the inside job tonight and what turns you on. Do you know what turns you on? That's the question. A lot of people don't know that. I was one of them. I didn't know what turned me on. And when I say what turns me on, a lot of people's first instinct is sexual. And I'm talking sexual too. But there's so many other things besides sex that turns us on. And understanding and learning those things is what raises our frequency. So tonight, we're going to be talking about what turns you on. If you understand who you are as a human, as a being, we are electric. That's what we are. Our cells are electric. How do I know this? I took chemistry twice, so I can tell you all about the electricity that's going on in these bodies, okay? So when we understand that we are electric, it also shifts how we think about ourselves. And that's the shift I want us all to consider tonight. I want us to move away from bad or good. That's a program that we've been taught to believe. Everything's bad or good. And we're going to shift the energy tonight to it serves me or it does not. And when things serve you, that means it raises your frequency. And when it does not, that means it lowers your frequency. And understanding what's serving you and what's not serving you is how you prevent dis-ease in the body. When you operate at a low frequency for long periods of time, that's what causes dis-ease. When you're around people that don't operate on the same frequency as you, you find yourself feeling a little dis-ease. When you're hearing things that you really don't like to hear, music, I would say just let's start with music. The frequency of the music can lower your energy or raise your energy. Smell. I remember when I was pregnant, I couldn't smell a lot of things. It lowered my frequency. One of them is potpourri. That's supposed to be the best thing for you in your house and make you smell good. I had to move out of my mother's house and go live with my in-laws because I couldn't smell potpourri in the house while I was pregnant. It made me vomit, literally. That lowers your frequency. It lowers your immune system. So when you're around things that don't smell good, that's why hygiene is very important because it lowers your frequency. So when we talk about high and low frequencies, I know we're used to saying it as your vibe and things like that, but it's really life or death. Because when you operate in a low frequency all the time, it lowers your immune system. Your energy levels are low. Our body, our organs, our energy, they operate through energy. So understanding the energy and the electricity of what turns that energy on, like certain vegetables and fruits turn on certain cells in the body. To understand what turns your cells on is power. You're able to take your power back. You're able to not take something from somebody that you have no idea who they are and put in your body that can cause multiple reactions. By just understanding who you are and what turns your body on, you can take a blueberry. And a blueberry, the antioxidants in a blueberry turns us on so much you have no idea. Garlic. I'm going to give y'all some tips tonight on what these things do to your body. I'm studying herbs in school. And one of the herbs is Dulswan, which is a garlic bulb. A garlic bulb kills parasites. It kills toxins. It kills so many things in the body. It turns us on. It turns us on. So understanding the foods that you eat that may turn you on, understanding the music that you may be listening to. Is it raising your frequency or lowering it? 528 megahertz, they're geared in megahertz, your frequency. What frequency are you operating at? Ladies, do you know what turn you on?
Oh, yeah. And I'd love to actually tie this to our first session where we were talking about raising vibration. This all ties together, right? So that raising that frequency, what turns us on, now extrapolates to everything from all of our senses. What are we listening to? Whether it's a conversation, whether it's something that annoys us and frustrates us, or whether it's something that makes us feel better and more connected. And how all of these things, for me, for example, the sound of waves and the ocean, man, that soothes me. That turns me on. That makes me feel like I can center and I can ground and I can calm myself. Good music, music that makes me want to dance. Like I go to a Broadway show and I walk out of there in tears, but tears of joy, right? Because everything in my body is electric. I want to be on that stage so bad it hurts.
Exactly. That's it. That's the feeling.
So I just want everybody to think about how this all ties together, because that lower vibration will affect everything, will affect disease, will affect how we are showing up, how we are feeling, and how can we raise it, Joanna?
Well, there's simple ways to raise it, but I want to hear from the other ladies, like other things, like you said, even listening to the ocean. And that's, for me, going by the ocean, which is very grounding because of the water, the salt, and those are the minerals for the body that helps ground us. But what else, ladies? What else do y'all like to do to turn you on?
Well, I get turned on by the aha moments that I see my clients have. People ask me what my hobbies and what turns me on and those kinds of things, but my work is my lifestyle. And so there is no separation between the two. And so when I'm with a client and with people that are really into raising their own consciousness, that's what turns me on. These kinds of conversations turn me on. When you were talking about what you were experiencing with regards to dis-ease, I remember years ago when I first started my journey, I was going to a coffee shop with a friend, and when I went in, I began to feel nauseous. And I wondered, I'm not sick, but when I walked out, guess what? I felt better. The nausea was gone. So I think it's really important for us to pay attention to the current that we put ourselves in. We enter into a current each and every moment that we interact with another or a group of others. The moment we walk out of the house and we enter into another room with others, we're entering into the current of that room, right? So when we pay attention to our physical reactions, they're not something that we should just dismiss. We should really pay attention. How does our mood shift in and around those moments, right? So when we can become ultra aware of how we are feeling and the vibe of the room, we take it all in, but not absorb it, right? But just notice it and be aware of it so that we can keep ourselves in a centered place, a rooted place as we navigate.
Carol, I just want you to expound on not absorb it, because
Yeah.
I think that's huge.
Yes, absolutely. It really is huge. And the way that we do not absorb what's going on around us is to be aware of our own experience, our own self, our own rootedness, our own knowing, so that we don't take on everything else around us. When we are centered and we are aware of where and how we are feeling, then we can keep ourselves kind of in a bubble, if you will, and still be with others and not let others' energy enter us.
I'd like to chime in there. That's awesome, because I think many of the people tuning in here are going to be empathic and sensitive to other people's energy. So it's super important for us. And I don't know who chimed in on this, but it's almost like for us to become masters of our energy. I think it was Albert Einstein who said that the future of medicine will be the medicine of frequency. And so that's what we're talking about. Everything, we are energetic beings, and it happens in terms of frequency. We're more wave than we are particle. And that's when we're congested, we become more particle. And that's when we become too grounded in the body, where we're associating only with the body. So our invitation here is to connect again, go in and remember those things from childhood or whenever, like you said, right from the beginning, Joanna. I think all too often we get busy in the day-to-day that we kind of forget, like, go ahead and make a list of 25 things that bring you fully alive. So what are those things? And if you want to use it in terms of the five senses, like I love the beach, there's the scent, there's the sound, there's the salt, there's like all those sensual experiences all come together. So what are your favorite tastes? What are the sounds, the music? What kind of music lights you up? Go through those things, get really familiar, because like Carol was saying, we get to be like co-creators of and moderators of what our energy is. So for us to become curious about what kind of environments are lighting you up, and recognize that those times when you're around people that are bringing you down. So what is it about that that's bringing you down? Do some of that self-inquiry. There might be some old storylines that are tied, and all of this is coming full circle, like Claudia was saying, from that very first conversation that we had in our first episode, talking about the emotional triggers from the past. These are old storylines that are coming up to be addressed again. So clear out some of the old stories so that you get to, like Joanna teed it up, of these triggers, these things aren't good or bad. We're moving out of the time frame of duality into a time where we get to be at choice. Does this simply elevate me? Does this serve me towards a vision that I'm moving towards in my life, those things that I want to call forth? Or does this begin to drain my energy? And, our environment, like Carol was talking about, has so much to do with it. So that's why practices like Feng Shui and being careful of what you put in your environment. Like, what if you put like a gold item on your desk can be something that elevates your vibration, and it can call in intentionality around bringing in abundance. So what are those things that you can plug into that intentionally help you to raise your vibration? As we raise, it's that point of attraction. So as you raise your own personal vibration, you're going to be attracting like that high vibe kind of opportunities coming forward when you clear out your own energy and tune in more frequently to the things that really are of a higher wavelength for you. And it's individual. So that's what's awesome, is we all get to decide for ourselves. We don't have to compare it to anybody else. It's just like, what works for you?
And that's the key. I'm so glad you finished with that, because that's the main reason why I started this revolution for healthcare, is because I realized what I was given during the process of healing was the same thing everybody else was given. So it was either take this pill, take physical therapy, or take surgery. And there was no other options given. It was like a cookie cutter type of system. And I've learned a lot of systems in my life. And when I realized that that's how I was being treated, is when I decided to learn the most ultimate system, the body. So going into the body, the most fascinating systems, because there's so many systems. That's why we have so many specialists. But the greatest specialist is yourself. So
Amen.
when you can sit back, and I tell my clients, your body speaks, just listen. And it speaks before it screams. So a lot of people don't respond until it starts screaming. And when it's screaming, that Band-Aid that's put on it, that's just meant to be there for maybe just to get the inflammation down, or whatever the problem may be at that moment. And I want to say inflammation, because inflammation is the number one cause for everything in the body. And I could stand firm on that. Mm-hmm. But being able to understand when that inflammation is talking to you and not screaming to you. And that's number one. The minute you feel a pain is the time you say, okay, what is this here for? That's going within. Because you are your doctor. You are your healer. And the answers can only come to you. And when you don't go to you for the answers, then you're leaving your health care, your self-care, your wealth care to someone else. Because when you're not healthy, you can't do any other thing. So your finances, everything is down when you're down. So taking back that power is understanding who you are. How do you understand who you are? By questioning everything. People talk to me and they know, my friends, if you're gonna have a conversation with Joanna, be ready to go deep, because I'm gonna ask, why? Why did that happen? Why did this happen? And I do that with myself, learning who I was or who I am, going on this journey every day. Things pop up, pains that I've never felt in my life pop up. And the question is, okay, what are you here for? How do I move forward without pain? What?
I love how you're framing it, Joanna, because I think we're conditioned in the society to resist the pain and think we've got to do something about it. But it's really an invitation, just as you said, to get curious about it, because it's just a communication from the body. It doesn't speak in language, it speaks in sensation like that. So
And
I
that's
love the distinction you're creating.
And
Yeah.
that's asking the question, what is the pain trying to tell you?
Yeah.
So what is the pain trying to tell you? I'd love to share a personal experience here because it's so powerful what you're saying, Joanna and Kathy. Thank you. Years ago, I got incredibly sick and I got guttate psoriasis throughout my entire body. It was a really hard time. I was covered. When I tell you I looked like a Pollock painting in red, I'm not kidding. I looked like The Exorcist. Okay, it was bad. But I didn't realize everything that led up to that moment. And all of those moments that I was not listening to the fact that I didn't have enough sleep, or the fact that I was stressed, or the fact that I was grieving, or the fact that I was in pain, or the fact that I felt depressed, or the fact that finances were a struggle, whatever it was that built up to this. And yes, there was a traumatic moment in my life that triggered it. But that's what just made the water kind of fall over the edge. That's really what it was. The rest was the buildup that I hadn't stopped to look at. And the answer there was huge for me because I ended up going on a 28-day fast and made the connection for the first time that everything is mind and gut. Mind and gut are the keys to what I've found so far has everything to do with disease. And so by stopping eating and by changing the way that I ate, I managed to, within 30 days, get rid of 90% of the psoriasis.
Wow. Awesome.
Exactly.
And it baffled me. It baffled me and it made me realize, wow, okay, everything is connected. I had to start also clearing the pain, the grief, and the mindset that allowed all of this to create, and then start asking my body, why? What are you trying to show me? What is the bloating showing me? Why do I feel gassy? Why do I feel bloated? When I eat this or that, does it make me feel good or does it make me feel heavy?
Does it make you feel high or low? I want us to change that from good or bad.
Exactly. Thank you. Yes.
The good and bad is judgment, and we're taught to judge.
You're right. It's what does it make me feel well? Does it make me feel vibrant? Or does it make me feel heavy and unwell and uncomfortable? Thank you for that, because that's a powerful reminder. And I love it. And we get to change our semantics and our minds about it.
Because we judge ourselves so much. And that's a thing that I've been working on, because when you judge, it keeps you at a low frequency.
It's not about that.
It's about, does it serve me or does it not? And that's really the foods that don't serve you when you feel heavy and tired after. If you feel vibrant and good, it serves you. Carol, what were you gonna say?
Yeah.
It brought me to remind me of something that happened probably about 15 years ago. I had a severe pain in my neck and shoulder. I'd put it out and I'd gone for all different kinds of chiropractic therapies and massage and everything that you can think of, acupuncture, and nothing helped. And this lasted for about 3 months. I was in agony. And then I did a spiritual retreat. And in that spiritual retreat, I came upon a belief system that I recognized that was a very deep pattern. And all of a sudden, it's like I hit pay dirt, right? And all of a sudden, the pain was absolutely gone. My range of motion was 100%. And it was like I'd never had this pain or injury to begin with. It was miraculous. And that was my first direct experience of the mind, body, spirit connection with regards to health and our emotional state. It was unbelievable. And it was not theory or a belief anymore. It was direct experience that they are connected.
That was your aha. Like my aha was just 21 years ago. It was like, wow. And
Yeah.
it's that recognition within your body, within your cells, within your mind. You see it so perfectly. And of course, we love seeing that in our clients as well when they have their ahas.
Yeah, I always find it so fascinating how literal the body can be. So, like you're saying, a pain in the neck, it's like, okay, who is the pain in the neck? Or shoulders oftentimes is bearing more responsibility than we're taking on the weight of the world, kind of a thing. Or back, especially lower back, can be support. Is there support that you need in your world? Is it financial support? Is it maybe somebody you're not feeling seen by someone who's that you like their validation? So bodies are just fascinating. Aren't you studying acupuncture?
Yes, that's what I'm going for. My master's in is
Ooh, that's awesome.
Oriental medicine, which is acupuncture and herbal remedies. Yes. And that's why I love this stuff so much. And like you were saying, just the energies that we hold. And Carol, I love that because I've had clients and going through this journey, my spiritual journey as well, it really all ties in together because when I guess the path that I had in church was where we called them demons, where people dealt with these things. So casting out demons was my thing. So and it's so amazing that it's transitioned to the energy, just moving the energy and understanding that those blockages are there for us to have those aha moments. They're happening for you and not to you. Like they're literally there to wake you up. And sometimes it's just to that. Oh, maybe I do need to feel supported more or something like that. It could be that simple. Or like poor Claudia, who had a whole body
Breakdown.
But what did it take to get to that point? It spoke, she said. It spoke and it spoke and it spoke. And you don't listen. And that's the thing. For me, there were things, I guess, happening. And then I fell, busted my knee, ACL, meniscus, and MCL, all done at once. I was down for 1 year. So what else could I do but say, what are you trying to tell me?
Yeah, and talk about moving forward.
So getting to understand just that and going through the healthcare system at that time made me learn and desire to learn my system that much more. So I want us to relate tonight to, that's what sent me into holistic care. And it's thinking of the body as the whole, as one whole big pie. So we're going to cut this pie up into nice, even pieces. And I'm going to give it 5 pieces because 5 is the pillars that I pretty much work with. And that's the mental, the mind, body, mental, physical, and spiritual. But I add my financial, because when your finances aren't right, all these other things don't feel right. and you're relational, because the relationships that you have with other people play a big role on your frequency, on how high or low you are vibing. So we're going to cut this pie up into 5 pieces, and we're going to think about it that when everybody don't get an even piece, they're pissed off. Everybody wants an even piece. So that's how you got to consider your body. Your body needs an even piece of the pie. So that physical part, you got to think about it. You got to get out there and move it and do those things that the body needs. The body needs to stay in high frequency. So that means all those little senses, the things you touch, the things you smell, the things you taste, the things you hear, they need to be just turning you on. That's what they should be doing. When you're entertaining things that's not turning you on, just know that you're creating a different slice of pie. So you're creating that aggravation to other parts of your life when they're not equally done. So when we start worrying, like Claudia said, she was worrying about things at that time in her life. That's a piece of the pie right there. We're not supposed to worry about things. That's lowering your frequency. Worry actually causes inflammation in the body. See, people think it's only things that you eat that can cause inflammation, but it's not. It's things that affect how high or low, how you feel. When you don't understand or pay attention to how you're feeling, like Carol said, when she walked into that store, every time she walked in there, she felt nauseous. If she continues to go there and live that every day, do you know that she's changing the chemical dynamics of her body every time she walks in there, and she's ignoring it by continuing to do it? So when you sit in relationships and you sit in things that have your frequency or make you feel like you vomiting every time you're around a person or just don't make you feel good, understand what you're doing to yourself. Nobody else is doing it to you because you're the one that does not feel good. And when we could come into tune and align with how we feel, that's the most powerful place you can ever be in life. I want you to understand worry, what worry does to the body. Worry affects your spleen and your stomach. Your spleen and your stomach move so many things around. And that's why you can say your gut, your mind, and your gut being connected. For it to get to your gut, it got to go through your stomach. So when you're worrying and you're affecting that, what's going on in the stomach, it sometimes doesn't even process and go down to where it needs to go, and your body's not getting the nutrients it needs. There's so many things that can happen when you sit back and start worrying about things that you really have no control over.
That's awesome. And just like you said, the body is a miracle. We are walking miracles, and it's my belief is that we're open with that energy should be flowing openly and freely, and we're the ones who are creating the congestion. So just as you're saying, if we're not paying attention, it's going to accumulate over time, which is also cool because the flip is true too. If you become into communication with your body and you recognize when it's whispering to you and begin to address those things, get curious then. What's coming up? What do I need to know? Just ask the questions. It will come to you. But so much of it is actually within our control. And if we can catch it before it becomes a big momentum, you don't have to go through the big traumatic dis-eases. You might have a small dis-ease that feels like a pain in the neck, or hopefully it's not a ACL. You've got a sore foot instead of something that requires hospitalization. But we've got the nervous system has the parasympathetic and the sympathetic, and the body wants to be in balance. It's striving for that. We just need to recognize the ways in which we are creating the blocks. So the that's why it's important for, as you were saying, what turns you on, the more we can get out of that fight or flight, which kicks the nervous system into, we got to get out of here. So it's shutting down some of those other digestion, you're talking a lot about that. If we're not able to digest life, we're not able to digest our food, like you were saying, we're not getting the nutrients, we're not fueling our bodies. We get stuck. It's almost like a switch that gets flipped, and we're kind of stuck in that overdrive. So it's imperative for us to master the energy, create within your day ways in which you're regularly plugging into things that bring that angst down, that worry is the future vision kind of a thing. Like, be in the present. That's why meditation and walking by the beach or being in nature, those things that turn you on, you have to do it, plug in regularly every day.
Absolutely.
And breathing is one of those things that can tune us in a moment and bring down the anxiety. Pranayama is one of these methods that, if you haven't heard about it, look into it a little bit, and we can, at some point further down, we can probably do a show on that, even just a whole episode on the different types of breath that can calm and soothe your body, or heighten and turn you on and energize your body and make your system hotter or make your system cooler. One of my, I call it my Bible, because it's been since I read this book back in 1992. I think I've had a copy of it with me by my bedside ever since. And it's Louise Hay's You Can Heal Your Life.
Mhm.
And I love the section in the back that talks about every part of the body and the frame of mind, or the energetic mind frame, that can have caused the disease in that part of the body, and the affirmations that you can make. Now, affirmations on their own aren't necessarily going to do the trick, but being aware of what that part of the body represents, and then doing that deep questioning, that awareness, that consciousness of saying, okay, what is my left shoulder trying to tell me? Yes, the left side of the body being my feminine, the right side of my body being my masculine. Is there a woman? Is there someone in my life? Am I taking on too much as a woman? You begin to see, and you get these clues that will then help you be able to make different choices, or more supportive choices for yourself, that will align with whether I need a massage, whether I need a walk, whether I need breathing exercises, whether I need a reading because I need a little clarity, whether I need, all those things that we can do to support ourselves. And it really starts to, open up the way to clear. And that's how we can start listening before our body starts screaming.
And that leads me right to the next one. I love that. And that's trusting yourself.
Ooh, big.
Because when you hear, you sometimes don't trust it. And that's where the disconnection comes from, because we question it. We question, even like you said, okay, you're clear enough to understand, okay, now my left shoulder may be this. Is that really what's going on? You start to question what's happening. Is being able to get to the place of, one, now we're clearing the judgment, but now trusting what we're hearing and trusting what we're also creating. Because if we trust that, we don't question a lot of things around us. Because if I clear on who I am, on what I want, then I know that what's here before me is what I need to see. Like, that's what you were saying about aligning to, Kathy mentioned it, aligning to your energy. So when the more you trust yourself is how you align and start creating and manifesting those things around you that you would love to see. So,
Oops, go ahead.
go ahead. No, go ahead, Kat.
One of the things that Kathy mentioned about being open, what I have found along my journey is that the more closed I was, the more fear I had, the more need for control that I had kept me closed off from myself and connected to others. But the more open I am, the more I can see, the better, the clearer I can see myself, the clearer I can see others, and the clearer I can see what's on the periphery. So it's kind of like the blinders that horses have. When they have the blinders on, they can't see out here, right? They can only see, it's tunnel vision. And it keeps us in fear. And so the more that we can be open, the more we can experience, the more we can see, and the better we feel. So I really can appreciate what you were saying before. And that's what was coming to my mind with being open. It's kind of paradoxical and counterintuitive that the more we're open, the more we can feel and see. But the more closed we are, the more fearful we are, right?
Right. And that fear, that what vibration do y'all think that operates?
Right.
Yeah, and how much fear is proliferated out there. So, be mindful of how much you're plugging into that. But that's
a key one, plugging into it. And
Yeah.
sometimes I have conversations with people and they don't even realize that they are plugging into fear. Like it's not, you have a choice whether you listen to this all day or you don't. And, and whatever it may be, but people actually plug into it and then realize why they're so angry and aggravated and they go through their days so hostile. And one of the things the tips I want to give tonight, like we've all pretty much given, is just finding the time for you. And that's through meditation, and that's connecting with your divine and being able to hear, because that's the true way of really knowing what's going on with you. So is being able to connect and hear and listen. If we don't get nothing else out of this conversation tonight, that's the one thing I want everybody to understand, is that your body is going to speak to you. That's the only way the divine has to speak to you. So use it, take care of it, listen to it, learn it, align with it, know it, feel it. Being able to just come in tune with who you are is the most powerful place anyone can be in their life. And to know that if I go in this coffee shop, I'm going to feel like I'm going to vomit every time I'm around there. I don't need to be there. To understand that is the power of the mystical being that you are, is understanding those feelings that are coming, when they're coming, those waves, as Carol so eloquently explained, because they come in waves. Like Claudia said, grief. Grief can come when we least expect it. I have been dealing with grief unbelievably in my family. And to just watch me, but to see my aunt who has lost her husband, her brother, and her sister, the amount of grief that can cause someone in 3 months. Mm-hmm. The frequency that she's operating in is low. So anything around her right now, don't tap into the news. You don't need anything else to lower your frequency. Don't tap into the family gossip. You don't need anything else to lower your frequency. When things like this, these waves come, the best way to tap in is into yourself. Find 5 minutes, breathe, take 5 deep, intentional breaths. Every breath you take is a healing, because that's the only way that you can bring in your oxygen and what the body needs to turn it on. So every time you take a breath, you're breathing in a healing. Every time you exhale, you're putting out what does not serve your body, the toxins, the worry, the pain. All of that leaves when you release the breath. So when you take your intentional breaths, 5 of them, I always say, just take 5 and breathe in your healing and exhale your worry. And that alone can change your frequency.
Yes. Yes. yes,
Amen, sister
So
girl.
powerful. God, yes. Now, what
Yeah.
amazes me, one of the things that ties into all of this too, Joanna, thank you so much for that trust in ourselves. If you think about history and the history of the feminine, right? And the wise old woman or the wise healer or the witch, or all of these things that we've seen throughout history, all of these things were women and people were basically just in tune with themselves, with the elements, with how each element, how the winds, how the herbs, how the crystals, how the sun, the moon, the stars influenced us in our bodies, in our energy. And being able to tap into all of that, right, is recovering our wisdom. It is that
I
mysticism.
love that. Recovering our wisdom. Because that's what it is. They've taken it away from us.
Yeah.
We felt for a long time that we had to let it go, or that it was wrong, or that all this judgment that came from outside of us that was saying your inner is not right. Don't listen to that. Those are not the right voices. Wait a second. That is our intuition. The divine created our bodies to heal themselves in absolute perfection. When it is not in absolute perfection, something is misaligned, and we can listen and we can make different choices and we can do something about it. So I invite everyone to tap into that sentience, that audience, that empathy, that, my goodness, that wisdom that our body is trying to show us, as is are the elements around us, right? Let's tune into that mystical parts of ourselves again, to that wisdom that we all have.
Turn on the mystic.
Yes,
That
please.
is so us.
I like that.
I love that.
Turn on the mystic. I'm going to use that for something. I love that. Yes, yes.
That inner wisdom.
Yeah.
Invitation to tap right back
And
in.
wisdom, I'm going to leave everybody with a point tonight that with most inflammation, everything is, we call it LI4, which is the large intestines. It's right on the height of your thumb. And it's the command face. When you push this point, sometimes when you push a point on the body, number one in acupressure, let me explain that a little, because you're moving the energy is what happens. And when you know there's a blockage, is you feel pain. So when a point is pressed, or even an acupuncture, if you do feel a little pain when the needle hits, that's the energy that's being moved. First of all, we call it your chi. And when we move your chi and you feel pain, that means there was probably a blockage there. And meaning a blockage is pretty much what Kathy was saying, congestion, just things we hold on to, and it may be food. Sometimes food stays in our body for too long, and we call that in Chinese medicine food stagnation, and it's just sitting there. It's not doing anything. So it's not serving your body is what it's really not doing. But learning to move that energy and those points and things like that can be helpful. So like a headache is great for this point on your, if you could just rub. And what's crazy about me learning Chinese medicine is I remember being on a flight many years ago, and me and my husband at the time, and there was a lady sitting next to us, and we hit the most turbulence I had ever experienced in a flight. And I had to get like a bag because I thought I was going to vomit. And the lady next to me just grabbed my hand. She didn't even know me. We didn't even talk the whole flight, nothing, but she saw how sick I was. And she held that point while we were going through the turbulence, and I felt fine. That's before I knew anything about Chinese medicine. So learning this stuff and just seeing what it does to the body is absolutely amazing. So that point right there, you can move a lot of energy in the body. It is the command point of the face and the head. So if you have a headache, it's a great point for that. And I just want the tips, don't judge yourself, trust yourself, and take time to listen to yourself. Those are the tips that I just want to leave everyone here with tonight. And I just had a great time talking about this stuff.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun if people comment below. We read all the comments. So what is it that turns you on? Share, what are the crash and burns maybe that brought you to a higher level of awareness? Because like Carol said, I like to say transformation can happen at the speed of awareness. As soon as you connect those dots, it's like, oh, the energy's released and we get to come back. The body's like, okay, we got this, that's figured out, and comes back to health and balance again.
Which actually, go ahead, Carol, please.
No, go ahead, Claudia.
Which I actually wanted to ask, Joanna, you didn't say what turned you on.
Ooh. Right now, there's
My
so
friend.
many that I've learned to turn me on. And one is definitely music. I love listening to music. And when my energy needs to shift, I turn on some music. I love Whitney Houston. I want to dance with somebody. And like I just turn that on and start dancing through the house, and it shifts my energy. So I realized that lately that I love listening to music. That really turns me on. And I mean, I've come into the senses though, like a good smell, a great smelling perfume on myself, much less a cologne on another man. Turns me on.
Oh yeah, smells a powerful one.
Right.
Yeah.
Very powerful. Yes.
Essential oils. I mean, that's one of the things. They transcend the brain barrier so quickly, but they're naturopaths to help us attune back to nature.
That's
And
it.
movement for me, I'm a mountain biker, so that brings me most fully alive, and especially riding with other people. So you get the other connection, your nature, your body's moving. It's so good. I think exercise is the top antidepressant that just people don't talk about, recognizing how quickly it helps us to move stress and move those old stagnant energies through the body.
And also the hormones that are releasing for the body during that time of exercise are excellent for the body.
Natural endorphins too. All of that is good stuff.
But Tori was saying in the comments that good smells are what turns her on as well. She says, I love candies.
Yeah, and that's what, and that right there is how you just, if you're having a bad day, go get some candy. That smell, you know what I mean? And it's just that simple with shifting the energy without being stuck in it. You know what I mean? Because going through grief and things like that, you don't want to sit in that frequency. So shifting that energy and that frequency is amazing. And there's so many ways to do it. Like we said, to smell, to dance, to exercise, to be with people. Like Carol just loves seeing people in relation. So doing those things, being around people when you're not feeling good. A lot of times we say we don't want to be around nobody. And that sometimes keep us at a low frequency. So I just love the shift that can happen and the control that we have to make it happen.
Yeah.
That's the key.
Yeah.
And it's important to invite ourselves also. There are moments when you need to honor it, when you need to sit in it, experience it, feel it, let it work through you without judgment. Just allow it. Allow yourself to feel it. because then you can come through the tunnel a little bit on the other side and then say, okay, now I'm going to turn on that song. Now I'm going to make that phone call and feel stronger and help yourself kind of come through it, right? Feeling stronger. Yeah. And Carol, you were going to prep us up for our next episode, set us up
Yeah.
a bit.
I think our next conversation on November 6th is going to be so extraordinary when Kathy's going to talk to us about vitality and living fully in the magic of who we are. So do you want to share more about what that looks like, Kathy?
Yeah, and I just love how all these conversations are just weaving so beautifully together. So it's kind of taking this conversation, vitality to me is, as you teed up the show today, Joanna, it's about that inner journey. And so to me, that core of self-love, becoming clear on who we are, recognizing the gifts, but bringing that soul element into it too. We're going to take this conversation and expand it out. We're each here with a divine calling on our hearts. And I believe that vitality begins first with being able to love ourselves. A lot of that is shedding the old judgment again, the ways in which we strive for perfectionism or people pleasing, or those are so, I like to say 2020, they've served us up until then, but a way for you to step powerfully into choosing who you're wanting to be, get clear on the gifts, bring those most fully alive, and how all these other themes that we've touched on just then become like the wind beneath your wings. So we want you living in full vitality. We'll be talking about the divine feminine energies that invite us on that intuitive path so that we can align with who we are and show up bigger in the world, which is what the world kind of needs right now. So the next date is November 6th. And that's Sunday, again, 7 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah. And just to let everybody know, this month we happen to have an extra Sunday. So unfortunately, we won't see you for 2 Sundays, but then we will be back November 6th, precisely, which is the first Sunday of the month.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. We really enjoyed the conversation and we hope that you did as well. Thanks, Joanna.
Yes, and please put any questions that you have for us, write them in the chat. We check them, we look at them. If there's a topic that you want to hear more about, that you want us to talk about or touch upon, please let us know. We would be happy to support with any questions you have.
Yep. Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
Turned on.
Light and love, love and light.
Okay, we stopped streaming.
All right.